Hello, traders. This is the first in a series of videos intended to get you familiar with the functionality and options available in the Tickblaze Dome. Now, existing Dome traders might just want to skim through this, but if you're new to trading on the Dome, I suggest you watch all the way through. So, to get started, what the heck is a dome anyway? Well, dome, spelled DOM, stands for depth of market. They are showing you what's happening in the market at every price level. You've got a buy column or a bid side of the market. You've got a sell column or an ask side of the market. And of course, you've got prices down the middle. And you'll have various colors and information telling you what's going on with the bid and the ask and the current price and all that kind of thing. But that's secondary. The main thing here is the depth of market. How many contracts or shares, depending on what you're trading, deep is each price level in the market? Typically, most platforms will default to probably showing you about 10 prices or so on either side of the current inside market, the bid and the ask. But technically, there is activity in the market at all different price levels. So, depending on your particular data feed and what you have access to, you might be able to have a lot more levels available to you. The main point is that these are limit orders. These are the resting passive limit orders in the book that are advertising their intention to either buy on the bid side or sell on the ask side. So selling is always going to be above current price. Buying is always going to be below current price. So let's go ahead and see how we would add a dome to our Tickblaze workspace. There are actually two different ways you can use a dome. You can do a docked dome that would be attached to this workspace window, or you can do a floating dome where if you've got multiple monitors, for example, maybe you have a portrait monitor like I do that's more vertical than it is wide, it's perfect for a dome or multiple domes. That might be where you want to put things instead. So you can use a floating window for that. Right now, I'm going to show you how to make a docked dome first. In the lower menu down here, go to New, Dome, and up will pop a dome over here on the right. And initially, you can see here, no symbol selected. So we need to give it a symbol. And you can see the blinking cursor here is telling us we need to add a symbol. So I can just type directly in here. Let's, for example, say I wanted to look at ES. I can just type ES, go to the ES contract here, choose single contract. And now I get a dome for the ES. And you can see the information starting to populate in the dome. The dome is a real-time streaming tool. So as soon as you open a dome, you will begin getting data for that dome. And depending on speed of your internet connection, it's possible that it could take a moment for this data to start populating. Most people these days, when they're trading, probably have a pretty good internet connection, so it's likely not an issue for you, but just be aware this does have to stream the data in real time. There's a second way that you can add a symbol if you want your dome to pick up the same symbol that maybe you have in the rest of your workspace. You can use the symbol linking feature. Notice these are all blue, these little swatches here. That's the blue symbol link connector. And what that allows you to do is you can pick a different color if you want, but for this, I'm just going to go ahead and use the blue. Whatever symbol is in any of these blue connected watch lists or chart, they are all going to be linked together. So if I change this to MCL, for example, micro oil, now you can see that the chart also changed to micro oil. So my dome, however, did not because it is not currently linked. If I change its little swatch here to the blue symbol link connection, then that links us to MCL. And now whatever I choose over here on my watch lists, my dome is going to change as well. So if I go maybe back to MNQ, now I've got a dome for MNQ as well as a chart for MNQ. So if I want to keep things on the same instrument, be trading the same thing in multiple places, I can do that. The other type of dome is a floating dome. And to get to the floating windows, you go to the top menu, go to New, and all of these are floating versions of these same things. So in this case, I want a dome. I'll go ahead and click that, and up comes a floating dome. Again, no symbol selected. So same thing, I can type here, ES or whatever I want to see, and just pick the contract, or I can jump straight to the symbol linking. I'll go to the blue symbol link, and once again, here we go, only now it's a floating window. So I can pick it up, I could put it over here on my other monitor that you can't see, but it's there. Or bring it back and put it wherever I want to put it. And that can be really useful for people with 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, monitors, and you want to put things in different places. Of course, be aware it's a floating window, right? So that means if I click on this window back here, it disappears because it's now behind this window. So I can use Alt-Tab to get back to it. And there it is. Or if I, of course, move windows around, I would have seen it, but I don't need to do that. I can just Alt-Tab to get back to it. and put this wherever I want to put it. And you can make it wider, and you'll see there's some other columns of information that I will explain in a moment. Now, it's worth pointing out these are totally independent. This dome here is independent from this dome here, which is independent from this trade pad here, even though they have some common information between them. They do have their own account selectors. So this dome could be on one account, this chart could be on another account, this dome could be on a third account. You could be trading completely different things in completely different instruments, completely different accounts, on different windows doing different things, which means also you might not realize if you've got things on different accounts that trades in this dome are not going to appear on this chart because this chart is on account sim 5. This dome is on account sim 2. And this dome over here is on account sim 2 also, which means if I were to place an order here in this dome, I would see it in this dome, provided they're in the same instrument, which right now they are because of the symbol linking. So just be aware these are independent and can be set to different things. If they're set to the same thing, then of course anything I trade on here, I would see on this chart, etc., as long as they're in the same account and on the same instrument. All right, for now, I'm going to go ahead and close the floating dome. I don't need it. And we'll go ahead and stick to the docked dome for the remainder of this explanation. So now that we've got data here, it's worth pointing out one other thing, which is that this is level 2. It's called level 2 data, volume at price. That is what a dome needs in order to draw all this lovely information. It's level 2. Not all data feeds come with level 2 data standard. For example, right now I am in my DX feed connection, which does in fact come with level 2. So that's why I have level 2 data. But if I were on a different kind of connection that didn't come standard with level 2, for example, let's say I'm trading a prop account at Prop Shop Trader, something like that. I would not have level 2 data unless I have specifically subscribed to and paid for that additional data feed. So I would see a message like the same thing I'll get if I choose a Forex or crypto instrument, because Forex and crypto do not have depth of market data. So I'll click on Euro USD, and we will get a message here that says no level 2 data available. That's the same thing you would see if you chose a data feed that didn't have level 2 data. So again, if I were on a prop account somewhere and I had not paid for specifically the level 2 data subscription, then I would get this message, and that's why you're seeing that. If you get this message, it's because you're not subscribed to level 2 data. I am at this moment, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my MES, and then the dome starts to populate with information again. So and again, just to reiterate, crypto and Forex FX don't have depth of market at all. So you will never be able to see depth of market for those instruments. You will always get that message on a dome. They are not meant for dome trading. Now you'll notice also down here, there's a compact trade pad down here. It's largely similar to the main trade pad in the charts, but there are some obvious differences. There's some things missing. This is meant to be kind of the minimal stuff you need when you're trading on a dome that you might want to have handy, because you might not have this open. And if this is closed, you've just got a chart, but you might want your buy market ask bid, sell market ask bid buttons, choose your account. It's got its own TMS, etc. But I'll get into that a lot more later in the next video. For right now, I just want to point out one other thing, which is that you can shrink this down. Domes are all about vertical real estate, right? And there's not a lot here. So I can make this shorter if I want. Maybe I just want to keep the buttons in view, something like that. But if I want to get rid of the whole thing, of course, I can drag it all the way down, and I can drag it back up again. But there's a shortcut for that, which is just to double click this divider, and the whole thing goes away. Double click the divider again, and it comes right back. I find that to be the easiest way to just show or hide this compact trade pad instantly. And so I do that a lot when I just want to get it out of the way. While I'm kind of planning what I want to do and stocking my levels and things like that, I will typically want to see the whole dome so I can get as much vertical price information in here as possible. But then during trading, sometimes I need to be able to access these buttons in a hurry to do certain things. So I like to have this open. Maybe I collapse it a little bit, condense it down to something like that, kind of split the difference, best of both worlds. Now, one other thing that will happen is as price is moving around, you could easily be scrolled off and you need to get back to price. So how can you do that? There's two ways. One is you've got this button here. This is the center button. If I click it, it centers us around price. The other, which is the way I tend to usually do it, is to just simply double click anywhere in the price column. And if you do that, it jumps you straight to price. Of course, you can also use your scroll wheel of your mouse to scroll up and down. You can also click and drag to scroll up and down, but mostly I just double click when I want to center on price, and that gets me, exactly to where I want to go. There's more options in the trade pad that I will talk about in the next video, but for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and collapse this down, get it out of the way altogether. So one other thing I do want to mention at this moment is if I right click in the dome anywhere, I can go to the table settings, and this window you may have seen before. If you've been using Tickblaze any length of time, this is a standard window that is available on all the different tables in Tickblaze. The dome is essentially a table. It's like a spreadsheet, right? It's just a bunch of grids and columns, columns and rows. And so you can have different rules for how the table is colored and what columns you're viewing and all this kind of thing. So you've got these same rules that are available elsewhere in Tickblaze. So I'm not going to go over this whole screen very much. But there are a couple of things that are very dome specific. The first is your histogram settings. This is the individual colors for the other histograms of the other columns of information, which I'm going to explain in a moment. So if you're particular about your colors, you can change them in here. You can also change whether things are right aligned or left aligned. So like this histogram here in the net delta column would be left aligned. And this histogram here in the bid volume column would be right aligned. And so you can play with that, get things dialed in exactly how you want to see them. Totally up to you. Once you've got everything the way you want to see it, if you want to save a template, this is a very useful thing to know about. You can save table to theme template and then just give it a name, my template. I've already got one here called my template, so I'm just going to save over it. It's going to ask me, do I want to overwrite that resource? I'll say yes. Now I have a template. I can reload that template to any dome, anywhere, at any time, just by clicking on load template and then go to custom, choose my template and open it. And then hit OK and it will apply, or hit apply and it will apply, and this window will stay open. But there's another useful thing to know about, which is this. If I minimize this whole thing, I've got 3 domes back here. This is a pretty common view that dome traders might have, where they set up multiple different domes for different markets. And in this case, I've got the micros for the YM, which is the Dow, the MES, of course, the micro ES or S&P 500 futures, and then the micro NASDAQ NQ. And so I've got 3 different markets, and they can be on 3 different accounts. You can see here I'm on Sim4, Sim2, Sim Default. So you can trade them independently in different accounts to do different things, maybe different strategies, different approaches, different ways to interpret what you're seeing, different levels of aggression, different levels of risk management, whatever you want to do. But you can really segregate your trading into different accounts for different instrument types, that sort of thing. But what if you had spent a bunch of time in here getting all of your histogram colors exactly how you want them to be? You've got everything perfect. You've chosen the perfect colors. You've got everything aligned the way you want. You've changed your column choices, whatever. You've got everything set exactly how you want it, and you've saved that template. But you really don't want to have to go. You maybe have 10 different domes on a bunch of different monitors, and you don't want to have to load the template for every single window. All you have to do is this: load all tables from theme template. If you do that, load this template, it automatically loads it across all of your domes all at once. Now, doing so, of course, it will reset your domes. So this is not something you probably want to be doing in the middle of your trading activities. Of course, this is a good thing to be doing in the evenings or the weekend, or that during sort of maintenance time for your trading setup, which is a good idea to do periodically and regularly anyway. So for right now, I'm not going to do that. But that's how you could just change all of your domes all at once with a single template. Very quick and easy, useful thing to know about. All right, now let's talk about all these lovely different columns up here. Let's go ahead and start just from the left. We'll start with the X column, which has nothing. So right now, it won't really make a whole lot of sense. It's going to make more sense in just a moment when I place an order. But the X column will have a little X where you would click to cancel orders after you've placed them. Again, this will make more sense in just a second when I show you placing orders. The bid and ask columns. These are kind of where the bulk of your interaction is going to be, because these are the columns where you place orders. And they are currently showing you some numbers here. These are the depth of market, right? These are the limit orders resting in the market. These are advertisements to buy on the bid side or advertisements to sell on the ask side. Now, they are just advertisements. Doesn't mean the people advertising are going to do what they say. So you probably already know this if you're a dome trader at all, or you're used to footprints, things like that. But if you understand order flow, you understand that this is just intention. This is not actually any commitment of anything. I could place an order up here, down here, wherever, and decide to change my mind and pull the order out. So it is still useful to know who is advertising that they want to buy or sell a certain level. That can tell you certain things, which I'm not going to really get into here, but it's useful to understand that. So let's say I want to place a limit order to buy down here. It has to be below price if you're going to be buying and above price if you're selling. So if I click down here, I'll click there.
Order
Now I've got a limit
pending.
order. Here it said order pending. I've got a limit order to buy down here. If I click up here, I can have a limit order to sell.
Order pending.
There we go. Now I have an order pending up here. So I have an order to sell up there, order to buy down here. And I can just wait for price to move around and maybe hit one of my orders. And you can see it says limit right there, LMT, limit order, LMT, limit order. If I want to cancel these orders, that's our friend, the X column. I can click the little X here.
Order canceled.
There we go, order canceled. I can also click cancel all, which will cancel all orders. So I'm going to just place a few different
Order
orders here.
pending.
There we go. 3 orders at the bottom. Let's do 3 orders at the
Order
top. So I've
pending.
got 6 orders in, 3 to buy, 3 to sell. And I want to cancel them all at once, right? I'll just hit go up here so I can see them, hit cancel all.
Order canceled.
They all go away. My buy orders are gone, my sell orders are gone, everything is gone. There's another way to do that though, because what if you have this hidden,
Order
right?
pending.
If I double click this, it goes away. I've got several orders
Order
in to
pending.
sell, several orders in to buy,
Order
and now I
pending.
want to cancel them all. All I have to do is right click anywhere, cancel orders.
Order canceled.
There we go. And if I was in an actual position as well, you'll notice there's a closed position option here, which is grayed out because there's no position on right now. If there was a position on, though, that's how I can close the position. Just a right click and a single mouse click to do that. Now, that was limit orders to buy or sell, but what if I want to place a stop order? And that could be a stop loss order, but it also can be a stop entry order, which I think a lot of traders aren't really used to thinking in terms of stops as for entries. We think of stops as stop losses, but they can be for entry too. So let's say I'm a momentum trader, and if the market suddenly picks up and runs to the upside, and maybe if it gets maybe if it breaks this high up here, this green here is telling me this is the current high of the market. And let's say if we break this, I want to buy the breakout, right? So I want to place a buy stop order here. If I just click
Order canceled.
order canceled, because I can't place a limit order to buy above price, that doesn't make sense. But if I hold down the Alt key, then I can pick my level here. I'll
Order pending.
do it at the high. I'll do a buy stop at the high. And now you can see it says STP, so I know that this is a buy stop order at the high. So this turns into a market order when price gets to it. So if price breaks out, I'm going to immediately get in at market as quickly as possible. Go ahead and
Order
cancel this. And
canceled.
it'd be the same thing down here to sell. If I wanted to do a sell limit order, I could click down here, Alt click.
Order pending.
Now I have a pending order to sell, and it's a stop order to sell down here. And again,
Order canceled.
I can't place a limit order to sell down here. If I
Order
try,
canceled.
order canceled, because it doesn't make sense to place a limit order to sell below price. So that's you need to be on the correct side of price, but you hold down the Alt key to be able to place those stop orders, and you can change the modifier key as well if you want to change whether it's Alt or Control or different things. I'll show that later on in the other video. Now let's go ahead and move on to the quantity column. Let me go ahead and place an order to buy maybe here, and
Order pending.
I've got a pending order for one contract. What if I want to change that? I can just click in here, and now I've got an up and down arrow, and I can just increment this to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever I want to do. I can also just type directly in here. Say I want 50. I can type 50, hit enter. Now I've got a 50 lot down here that I'm going to buy. Hit cancel.
Order canceled.
There we go. I've canceled the order. So same thing on both sides. If I place an order up here, now I've
Order
got
pending.
quantity here, and I can change the quantity as well and set it to what I want. There you go. I
Order
also
canceled.
could change the quantity this way. Say I change my position size, or excuse me, my order quantity indicator here, and this will tell me the size of the position that I would get into if I were to only place a single order. Right now it's on a 1 lot. If I change that to say a 3 lot, right? And now click away, and there we go. Now I've got a 3 lot. If I click up here to sell, there
Order
we go.
pending.
It's an order pending for 3. Now I've got a 3 lot. If I click another one, now I've got 2 3 lots.
Order
Right?
pending.
Now, if I want to move this order around, I can also just grab it anywhere except the quantity column. Because, of course, if I click in the quantity column, I'm going to get the quantity selector. So if I click anywhere else on the red line here, the red row, get this dim highlight there showing me if I drop this, that's where it's going to end up going. Now, until I let go, nothing has happened, right? So it doesn't matter what I do with this, nothing has happened. But if I change my mind, I say, yeah, you know what? I didn't want to really actually move it at all. I don't have to go back here and drop it. I can just hit the escape key on my keyboard and oh, it scrolled as well. And now I've just canceled rather. I've canceled the order change and nothing has happened. So again, I'll just do this, hit escape, and it's canceled that operation. So if I pick this up and move it and say I drop it on the other one, right? So I'm taking this 3 lot and dropping it on this 3 lot, it becomes a 6 lot. It merges them together. Now they are one. I cannot separate them back out again. They have merged into a single order. So sometimes you might want to do that, but if you want to keep your orders separate, then don't drop them on top of another existing order, or the order quantities
Order
will
cancelled.
combine just like that. All right, now the price column, probably pretty self-explanatory. The colors do mean something here. By default, there's a red and a blue for the bid and the ask. See, there's the bid, there's the ask. The yellow is the last traded price, and the numbers in parentheses are the last volume that traded, or some platforms call it the LTQ, last traded quantity. So the last trade was a 1 lot, and let's give it a second, see if we get some other quantity. I saw some other quantities a moment ago flying around. There's a 2 lot, there's a 1 lot. And serious dome traders spend a lot of time staring at this, and they get really good at recognizing when the lot sizes are suddenly changing. If the market's been kind of quiet right now, it's evening time, so it's pretty quiet, and you've been mostly seeing 1 lots, 2 lots, maybe a 3 lot from time to time, and then all of a sudden you see 10 lots, 15 lots, 20 lots, 50 lots, 100 lots. Sometimes that happens. Something is going on. And that is a major wake up call that it's time to start paying attention, because now some people who can sling some size are stepping into the market and they are actually committing. They're actually trading. They're not just advertising what they want to do. They're actually saying, yeah, I want in. And they're actually putting their money where their mouth is and getting into the market. And that can be very important to watch and to pay attention to. Now, let's talk about my favorite area of the dome, traded volume. I've mentioned the advertisements in the dome, right? And that's all these are. These are advertised intent. Who knows if they're really going to do it or not? And yes, spoofing is technically illegal, but whatever. Is it spoofing? Is it just someone changed their mind? You are allowed to change your mind, pull your orders out of the market. You might have heard of pulling or stacking before. People pulling their orders out of the market, stacking more orders in the market. That can be something that some traders will keep track of as well, and you can see that in the numbers. But what I am mostly paying attention to is the traded volume here, and that's going to be the net delta column and the bid volume and the ask volume columns. So I'm going to skip net delta for now. I'm going to explain it in just a second because it's a result of these 2 columns here. So let's talk about bid volume and ask volume. Like I said, these are the traded volume, but unlike the dome columns, which are showing you limit orders, right? These are the passive limit orders sitting in the order book. The the traded volume columns of the dome is showing you market orders. This is showing you who has aggressively committed to the market, who has stepped up and said, I'll take it right now. I'm going to pay what you're asking. They are buying at market or above market if they're really aggressive. So that means that on the ask volume side, you've got aggressive buyers, because when you're buying at market, you're buying the ask, you're buying a higher price. And the bid volume column is aggressive sellers, because they're hitting the bid. When you sell at market, you're selling the bid. So by definition, when you're transacting at market, you're getting the worst possible deal, right? You're losing the spread. You are going to be buying the high and selling the low. Whereas when you're in the limit order book, you want to be ideally buying the low and selling the high. So you want to buy the bid, sell the ask, but market orders are doing the opposite. They are going to be selling the bid and buying the ask. So this is showing you aggressive activity. And then the net delta is showing you the winner of that aggressive activity. So for example, this level here, 229 contracts, 231 now. So there's more volume transacting there as we speak. And I can see that there's been 448 aggressive contracts bought, or 448 contracts bought aggressively is a better way to say that. 217 contracts sold aggressively for a net of 232 aggressively bought contracts. So there's a little bit of a battle happening at that price level right now. We're watching it unfold. Who's going to win? Do the buyers win? Do the sellers win? Don't know yet. Got to wait and see. And that is very informative on the result of this little fight right here. Right now, the buyers have been more aggressive than the sellers, but just because buyers are more aggressive does not mean price is going to go higher. Those buyers can be wrong and they can lose. And then they can change their mind and bail out, and that can cause a big push down. So this is all part of understanding order flow. If you're an order flow trader, if you've studied footprints, if you studied the dome, if you've traded the dome, this is probably very familiar to you. I'm not going to really get into it beyond that, but just understand that the traded volume is market orders, and the net delta is very informative about who won a particular price level. Right now, in fact, we can see, looks like the buyers lost. We're starting to tick down. Actually, they're kind of still holding it there. But anyway, you get the idea. Now, the last column here is the executed trades column. And it is simply the total number of, in this case, contracts, because this is futures we're dealing in, but it could be shares if we were talking about stocks. This is the total number of contracts transacted at that price level since we opened this dome. So typically, you're going to see kind of a bell curve on these volume profiles. That's what this is. This is a volume profile, right? If you're familiar with volume profiles, this is old hat to you. And sure enough, we've tailed off at the top. Go down here, you've got the nice big middle part of the bell curve, and then down here we trail off again to the bottom. And that's a very typical balanced looking market. And there are various market profile techniques for looking at the shape of the market. You got B's and P's and double distributions and all this kind of stuff. There's lots of different ways to interpret volume profile. I'm not a big volume profile, market profile trader myself, but it is informative sometimes if you see anomalies, you see weird things at the extremes, a lot of volume where there shouldn't be a lot of volume, that kind of thing. That can be informative and can be useful information that you can jump on if the opportunity presents. Now, the executed volume is also commonly referred to as a footprint. If you've ever seen a footprint chart, basically a footprint chart is showing you the bid volume, the ask volume, and the net delta. That is a footprint chart. This just happens to be a footprint of the session since you opened the dome. So if I had had this dome open all day, including RTH, then that's what we would see. We would see the entire day's session volume. I happened to reset this at the overnight open, the Globex reopen. So this is an overnight footprint right now. It's just showing me all the activity in the overnight session. And that can be very useful to give you a good idea of where business has been conducted and any possible areas you might be interested in buying or selling should price get to those levels. So that's really it for this video. So join me in the next one, and I will begin to walk you through the different settings and options that are also available to use with the Dome. Until then, good luck and good trading to you.